This is what sport does to us. It grips us the whole day, and it can be so cruel. After we saw grit, determination, patience, courage, toughness, every adjective that you would associate Test match cricket with, we've seen it. My name's Avni Shaikde, episode 88 of the MNL, not starting at 8, but starting slightly fashionably late. My dinner's at 9, but no one cares about food. I want to do my introductions as first. Somesh Agarwal making his MNL debut. What a time to make it. And as usual, we have Nikhil Popa. We don't have Akshay Kumar Swami, but we don't frankly care because we want to talk about one of the greatest Test matches India have ever lost. Som, I'll give first ball to you. Your first thoughts, my friend.
By the way, this is not my debut. I've been here before. But yeah, so I'll just start off with a quote. दुबे जी मैं तो एक ही बात मानता हूँ जो जीता वही सिकंदर but agonizingly close but I think yeah, I mean after the first hour or so we were done and dusted, and somehow I had made my peace then. So whatever happened after that is a bonus for me, and I was already proud of the team, but that fight that was shown by three individuals towards the very end, that has only made me prouder.
It has. And that's the word we feel, even though India have lost this game. Nikhil, do you echo those thoughts? Because what a game. Ebbs and flows. 387 plays 387. Nearly 192 playing 192.
I think true to the line that I keep saying, we keep trying. I cannot ask for anything more, at least today. Because I mean, at every point of not at any point of time, I felt today that it was self-inflicted in terms of the damage that was done. I don't think maybe for yesterday, I am 100% sure that the wickets that fell were controllable, so to speak. But today, I felt most of them got good balls. And see, sometimes we want the perfect execution, and our expectations are of a perfect world, but it isn't that. And I know different people can put it differently. But to me, ye test luck ke naam. I felt there were many moments in this test which could have gone the other way, but they did not. So hopefully someday they will go some other way. And I hope people don't latch on to such things, because then you're only looking at the scorecard by saying, and again, not to you in particular, but just that there are 100 moments that I can point out to you from the same test which went your way also. So we will only see what goes against us. But well fought, India. Well fought.
Where do we go from here? I mean, obviously Old Trafford's on the 23rd of July, Som, but does this give India a weird morale booster? The fact that, okay, the chips were down, there were 7 down, everyone thought they'd be done and dusted within lunch, within tea for sure, but there was something about this team which showed you that fight, which you were talking about, which Nick's also kind of reiterated.
I think if you ask me, had India lost this test by 80 runs, I would have still felt that India can go on and win the remaining 2 tests. This is a very beatable English unit. And just think about the fact that Stokes had to bowl 20 overs today. And it's a player that if he cannot bowl in this series, India are massive favourites. And if he is not bowling in Australia, England have no chance in the Ashes. So they risk that player today because they knew that beating this Indian team is not going to be easy. So I mean, to me, as I see in this series, there has not been a single test where India have conceded a first innings lead. India have been almost ahead or at parity in all the 3 tests. The scoreline, of course, reflects something else. But the 11 that India played in this game, 10 out of those 11 players have stepped up massively at some of the other point in the entire series. You cannot ask for anything more. I mean, this is not an individual-driven team. They are working as a unit. There are a lot of positives and a lot of things to be, feel happy about. It's just those minor things rub off the green that is going with the home side in this particular series. And usually I feel that is the case in cricket in general, and that is why you see home team winning a lot more. I mean, we should not forget that even the peak Australian team has not won a series in England since 2001, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not easy, and this young unit is still fighting, and who knows, yaar, matlab, ek dismissal idhar udhar, and this game also from out of nowhere we would have won.
So let's start chronologically then, because I know there's so many points where we can poke at and be like, look, this is where India lost it, this is where we lost it. incredible game, incredible Centurions. There was 5 wicket takers, of course. Bumrah getting in the Hall of Fame and the honours board over there. Nikhil, let me start with you. I mean, essentially, England batting first, and there was a cheer in that crowd, and I think it was well documented now, even though it seems like an eternity away, that Ben Stokes batted first. Was it almost like being submissive in a way, that saying, okay, fine, I've done to chase and I've not won, but this time I'm actually going to do it differently and win?
Yeah, I think it just tells you how much none of us read conditions well. Sometimes even home or away, it doesn't matter. I don't know what. Maybe he'll explain why he batted first in the presentation. But all the noise before this was green grass. Plenty of help for the spacers, lively wicket. And for a lively wicket, you had a stand where you needed 81 runs and 2 wickets in hand, and you lost by 22 odds. So it just tells you, okay, conditions cannot be manufactured. I think it was a fair call and right call also to bat first. Nobody can predict conditions, which is a good thing, because I think India missed the trick, which we can expand on in terms of using their resources. It is something I've been on this rant for a while, but I think England did their job well, batted attritionally on the very first day, and it told us, okay, this is not going to be a baseball test where you'll go at 4 runs per over and dominate the proceedings. So I think at the back end of the first day, both me and Somesh were of the idea that 350 will take it. They got 387. I would have still taken it. And again, there are moments in that 387 also, which I don't think in India's favor. Whether it is the new ball, which wasn't the new ball. So, take it. I mean, there is too much to dive into, but yeah, I think England batted well all through the test, and India fell short there also.
So always, every cricket match, hindsight is a beautiful thing. And even if you look at that first innings, they were 271 for 7 England, and then they get up to 387, pretty much to Bryden Carson, his maiden 50. That drop catch from KL, in hindsight, is it that particular moment, or would you again meander towards that little milestone run-out partnership?
I think there are 3 moments in this test, and all 3 of them I believe are equally critical. Of course, that drop catch shouldn't happen. KL Rahul is usually a very, very safe hands in the slip cordon. I think they showed in replays he was not really alert. He was setting the field or something, and that resulted in a drop catch. What was it, this chance or some other? But I think there was a case where he was not really ready before that ball happened. Maybe I'm mixing 2 different instances, but whatever it is, that was fairly catchable, and it did cost India. So, no one drops catches on purpose, but India need to sort this out. How they do it, it's up to them, but we cannot be dropping catches when the other team is taking one-handed blinders and hitting direct hits. That's your margin of error gone. Second thing is, of course, it's just sad. It's just sad that, in this day and age, in a series like this, we are so focused on milestones. It cost us not just 1, 2, but it cost us 2 wickets. Pant's run out was a direct impact of that milestone. As I see it, it's up to the batter who's reaching the milestone to inform the other batter that let's not give a fuck about it. Let's work for the greater good here. And just after reaching a milestone, if you let your focus waver, that's not ideal. It will be very critical to criticize KL in this test. He did an excellent job with the bat in both innings. But just a passing stat, that there are 144 test cricketers in this world who have scored 10 or more test runs. Out of them, there are only 3 who are averaging lower than KL. Of those 3, 2 are the greatest match winners cricket has ever produced, Ian Botham and Ben Stokes. And the third one is Craig Brathwaite, who never anyone perceived to be one of the greats. So, that just shows that KL fails to convert whenever he gets in, and that is something that he really, really needs to address. He can answer him. He would probably know it, that I don't know what happens after he reaches a milestone, or is the 100 that makes him feel like his job is done, because he really needs to cash in when he gets in, to ensure that he's averaging 40 by the time he's done. The third instance for me, which even after these 2 instances, India was not out of the game. They were actually ahead. But yesterday, 2 shockingly poor shots by Jaiswal and a no shot by Karun Nair. those were the only two dismissals I felt could have been avoided. Rest everything was either a Jaffa or a pressure wicket. So yeah, I mean these three instances, I mean turned one of them in India's favor, and probably this 20-25 run gap could have been bridged.
Yeah, well summed up. Those are 3 points that every Indian fan, every cricket fan look at and be like, things could have been differently. And we always kind of say in retrospect, if this happened or that happened. Nick, according to you, was it that run out of Pant and Rahul, or was there more to it which meets the eye?
Yeah, of course, I think it was accountable, and that the drop catch is also accountable. That KL drop. I also just wanted to mention the second new ball bit, because again, far too often all those things are not going to come on the scorecard. That you get 3 early wickets with the second new ball, and then you have a ball that is not even at the same stage. And again, sometimes it just tells you how random this game of cricket is, that you are dependent on completely outwardly things for you to have a good impact. Because after that drop catch, you had a guy scoring a 50 because you were bowling with a softer ball. Of course, he played well, but I think India, again, that is something that is not controllable. So, but that is still one thing that I would hope going forward doesn't cost teams, and no matter who it is, even if it is England or it is India, in terms of a control level, because that is something you can't do. And to add to the 3 points, I was slightly disappointed by the umpiring, because I felt, I'm not going to say that he was biased. I'm just saying the standards have to be better, because it felt very inconsistent. And that is something that I think when there are more careers at stake, some things like this should not be happening. I think the controllable aspect has already been mentioned by Somesh, which is why I want to just bring up these two topics, which I feel they don't always get discussed. We are too protective of umpires. I think it's time to be a bit open also, that they can also err, and somebody has to be accountable for that as well.
I'll just elaborate on what Nicholas said. I mean, there are both of them are very pertinent points. Number one is the discourse over the ball has just gone in a very awkward direction. People are talking about how other players are brand ambassadors of other brands. I mean, just think about it. You are playing at a proverbial home of cricket. It is the most celebrated venue in all of cricket history. This is a competition between two of the 3 biggest teams in this world, and you are telling me that you cannot find a ball which is similar to the one that you're trying to change. I mean, what sort of logic is that? How is that normalized? And then you're blaming the team that, oh, it's their fault that they're trying to change it. No, it's actually not up to them. It's the rules. It's your responsibility as someone who's organizing the game and sort of hosting it, to ensure that you have balls for every situation. A. B. Just the last game, I was very happy with the umpiring, because the standard was that they were siding towards the batter. Every umpire's call was a not out. But this game, it changed completely. Not only the umpire's call were going. I mean, it was not consistent. A lot of umpires' call went in favor of England and against India, but at times even the missing ones were against India. So I mean, it changed radically. So it should be consistent. Either you have to be an umpire who's giving the benefit of the doubt to the batter all the time, which is something that I would prefer. But to pick a side, be a bowler's umpire or a batter's umpire. You cannot change it according to tests or according to the innings, because then you are opening yourself to make, favoring one team over the other.
No, absolutely. I think it was very flip-flop, and Nick hit the nail on the head there. Whether it was Saikat or Paul Rifle, I think both of them got 2 big ones wrong today. The first one, Saikat, of course, getting the KL Rahul one wrong, Stokes and Reffel getting that one right, and then Paul Rifle getting the Jadeja LBW wrong. I mean, that was just inches, but so good to see that was pretty much outside the impact. But again, going back to the second innings then, because no one in their wildest dreams, Somesh and Nikhil, would have thought an off spinner from India would take 4 wickets at Lords, all bowled. Now, how much did that get India back into the game, Nikhil? Because we were thinking, he get 200, 210 chase hoga, 193 also wasn't enough. But Sundar, let's have a word on him and how English batters just capitulated. Is that fair to say? Because we haven't seen so many bold dismissals in Lords since 60 years, as Ravi Shastri said on air.
Yeah, but I think just before we get there, it is something that I want to speak about this current Indian team as well, which I've spoken in the past as well, that we will get to appreciating Sundar, but I just find this Indian team very rigid with their first plans. I find it very shocking that you did not even go to spin till it was the softer ball. I feel it is very unjust to then keep grinding bowlers into the dirt by making them bowl, rotating just these three pacers, getting the fourth pacer, but not hardly using spin. And isn't it infuriating that the moment you get spin on, the guy gets 4 wickets? And I'm not saying you get one or the other, but at least get them into the game so that even they need a harder ball. A harder ball, they could have done far more damage. This target that you had, it could have been far lesser had you introduced spin because there was help from the wicket. But again, it's like, do we want to be too harsh? But if we are harsh on the batting aspect, I think the bowling plans also have to be such that, because I think India bowled really well in that third innings. I cannot fault the efforts of the bowlers because I don't remember the last time there were so many false shots and very few of them resulted into wickets. So firstly, no questions of the pacers. They did their job. Bumrah, Siraj, everybody bowled their heart out. Akazi also created enough false shots, but none of them created into mistakes. Maybe that's what covered up for Sundar, that when Sundar came in, he was able to bowl in the right areas and beat everybody in line of the stumps. And that is spinners 101, right? You want to be straight and you want to say, okay, we will bowl at pace, but still beat you and take wickets. So I think the wicket changed. Yes, there was more help on the last 2 days, but I just hope India is able to acknowledge that you have Akazib already having a problem with fitness. Now, is it happening because you are giving him a lot of workload? Is it because you are not getting the spinners to bowl enough? All these things have to be considered before you go on and make your team for the next test.
It just makes you think about how everything's unfolded. So, you want to add to that?
No, actually, I'm in the other boat here. In fact, I felt that India has used their resources very well in this series, to be honest, because you saw in the first innings, they brought in NKR straight away, which would not have been a very obvious decision. And of course, they did not advise him to bowl a shot down the leg to get a wicket.
Sorry, he was there only for a change of plans, but it worked. So,
but yeah, I mean, whatever the reason be, even I think NKR has bowled a lot more in this series as compared to what he was being bowled in Australia. Second thing is, till yesterday, if I am the captain and my two spinners are Jadeja and Sundar, I'm still not confident enough in their ability to give me wickets in these conditions. Because let's be fair, I mean, Sundar, even Ashwin struggled at times. This is someone who's just coming in. And Jadeja, let's be fair, he has been a brilliant batter, but of all the bowlers who have bowled 500 overs in England, he's averaging the worst. So, as a captain...
but he's still giving you good economy. He's the second best economical bowler. My only point here is, I'm not saying you get Jadeja to take wickets, but it will keep the pacers fresher for a lot more longer spells and even bursts as well, right? So, the point here is not to get 5 wickets with Jadeja.
Yeah.
But the point is to get him, and you want to manage workload, right? Why would you want to risk having Bumrah overloaded?
Mindset would be that after this test, you have a 10-day break. So, this is a test where you can probably expect your pace bowlers to bowl a couple of extra overs, which would not be the case when it comes to test 4. And having said that, it's good that in this test, India have gotten to see a lot of Sundar, who has taken crucial wickets. And even Jadeja was, that wicket of Hope was really important in the first innings. So at least now Gill, the captain, would be a lot more confident that, if I'm playing 6 bowlers, I know each of them have the capability of giving me wickets.
Which wasn't the case after the first test at Headingley, because everyone was thinking, oh my God, how are we going to get 20 wickets and so on and so forth. Fair enough, we did level the series in the second test. But the one thing that I would really commend Washington Sundar is drift. We've seen it with Nathan Lyon, we've seen it with canny off spinners over the years, but even he mentioned in that post-match chat yesterday that he had that in England, in the UK, because of his county experience, he's understood the game of drift and he brought that to the fore brilliantly. We will talk about the fights. We'll talk about a lot of things in the MNL, but quickly smash your like because we've seen one of the best tests ever. And there's some great questions coming in as well. So we will talk about it. Right. Let's just talk about the 4th innings and then talk about everything in terms of what we learned, pros and cons and stuff. The 4th innings, guys, at the start, 193, was it chaseable for you all? Yes or no? Nikhil, I'll start with you here.
Yeah, I don't think it was straightforward for me. No Indian team has done that since 2015. We've lost 3 chases now. This is the 4th chase that India have lost, chasing 200 or less. It just tells you we haven't done it. So it is, which is why GABA is GABA. So I never thought it was going to be cakewalk. And when I know, it is very interesting that when Vikas asked what is the percentage for the chase to happen, I said 65%, and that 65 was purely on the hope that India would play the new ball well. But yeah,
More on that later, but it's a good stat you throw in there, because even those 4 venues we've gone down chasing under 200 different venues across the world.
Yeah.
So it just makes you think even more. So were you kind of confident till 41 for 1? Then Karan Nair has a brain fade. God bless you, Karan. Please have another game in Indian Test cricket and do well for my Karnataka's sake. But I understand why you were frustrated at the time, because you can't get too timid in Test cricket. We've seen how that backfires in batters, and you can't get in a shell. As much as we criticize Jaiswal for playing something really funky and outrageous at the start of the innings, we did criticize Karan even more for just having that brain fade, because till then, if they just saw it off, it could have been a whole different story, right?
See, the way I see it is, if at the start of the test, you would have given India a target of 195, that let's simulate the entire test, and the target for you in the final innings is 195. Looking at how the series is spanned, I would have grabbed that with both hands.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
So, if you give this unit 195 at this venue 10 times from here on, they're going to win the next 9.
Fair.
See, this unit is not used to chasing. It's a new unit. Chasing in test is a very different ball game. They would have realized the value of staying put, not being too aggressive recklessly, because Bumrah and Siraj, they were able to bat for 50 balls. I mean, imagine what Jaiswal could have done at a later stage, what Gill could have done at a later stage. They probably will also realize that, sledging tab karo if it helps you. If it affects your focus, if it makes you take wrong decisions, then probably it's not for you. Sledging worked for Virat Kohli doesn't mean it will work for every Indian individual. I mean, Dravid didn't sledge because probably it didn't work for him. He could have. Tendulkar chose his moments. There are like 20% of the times when he sledged, 20% he ignored. He knew when it would work in his favor and when who is the player he's going up against. So, to me, I think India were in the game, definitely. I this morning as well, I mean, for me, it was not England favorites. I gave you that calculation. KL, Jadeja, Pant, NKR, Washington had to score 27 each for us to get across the line. That's it. 27 runs. It's not a lot. So India were favorites for me even today. But they got Jaffas. Pant's ball was too good. And it's time like his dismissal that make me realize that how his mindset is actually good. Because had he stepped out of that ball, probably he would have gotten back to it. He played in the crease that allowed the ball to deviate. So, and he got in a traditional test manner trying to get out defending. And the KL Rahul ball was virtually unplayable. You can't do anything about it. The only random dismissal of this entire innings for me was Washington Sundar. Getting that leading edge and a good one-handed catch, that turned that in India's favor. This game, see, there are so many small instances. People are mentioning buys. I spoke about it on Twitter. It's not about Jurel. He's an excellent keeper. But these are the margin of error which are slightly bigger for the home team, because their keeper is used to conditions like this. Whereas no matter how early you arrive, you cannot, Jurel will never be able to match Jamie Smith because he has been brought up in these conditions. वो एक महीने पहले आके कितना भी practice करेगा, in that pressure situation, he will never be used to the balls that will move at the very end. So it's little margin of error which get on added across the 3 departments, which inevitably work in the home side's favor. It works for India as well when teams come home. Of course, we are hurt because of the New Zealand thingy, but let's think about the last decade. There are so many fine moments in home series that have worked in India's favor.
Yeah, 100%. There are lots of comments coming through. Keep them coming through, which we'll definitely take. The way I see that last innings panning out, I mean, many people are comparing it to 1 month ago with South Africa getting the job done against Australia in the WTC final. Everyone said, oh, the pitch was similar for the first 3.5, 4 days. But then, next, do you think the pitch drastically deteriorated on day 5, maybe towards the fag end of day 4 as well? That's why the Kremlins and the doubts started coming in the batters. Do you think that was the case? Because South Africa, they chased out 282. So many people on that evidence were suggesting that India should get over the line, but that 4 for 58 overnight would have played mind games, 100%.
100%. And I think that is, if I want to blame something wholeheartedly, I think that 58 for 4 is where India lost the plot completely. Because after all the instances that we mentioned, the run out, the ball change, the umpiring, and all of that, 193, enough time left in the game. There is, if India batted 3 sessions, they would have won. But they never looked like they wanted to play in terms of how they planned this. I'm not quite sure, because to me, see, I'm all with playing shots, but I absolutely found that Jaiswal's shot absolutely shocking. That it is to Jofra Archer, it is so wide, and the third is, where are you trying to hit it? And I'll give it to the first 2 points also. Okay, ठीक है, तेको मारना, you want to put pressure, but भाई कहाँ पे मार रहा है वो भी तो देख. वो उस angle से the ball is always going away from you, and then you're trying to fresh it from there. And Jaiswal is not a newbie. And maybe it is my expectation that I expect a lot, because a chase of 193, you needed your top order to just play out the new ball. That was all the mandate. We've seen that right through the series. The series has been a new ball wicket. If Jadeja can bat over 160 balls, Siraj and Bumrah can apply. All it needed was India to come into today, needing 140 odd, have 8 or 9 wickets in hand. You get Jaffas, it's okay. I think India had far too many moments of panic last night, whether it is whatever it is to, whether it is to fading light, whether it is cast bowled well, no doubts there. But then you are not chasing 230 or 280 that you had to show intent. I found even Gill's innings very frenetic. He wanted to put bat or ball almost, and this is not the Gill we saw at the start of the series. So, as Som said, was it the sledging? Was it you wanted to show intent? It's a very humbling and very harsh sport. 2 games in, you have 600 runs, but the game can show you that, oh, there is so much more to learn. So I just hope both take it in the right way. Nobody's telling them to not play their shots, but you'll have to pick and choose. So those are the two. And Karun, I don't know, man. Maybe I'll get too harsh, but I just feel you have to use your experience. You cannot come out there and get us. It is even more worse that you've gotten starts and then you've gotten out.
That's my problem, because he actually looked so good whenever he got in, but then he just threw it away.
And the problem is the type of dismissals. Most of those dismissals haven't looked that. You can say cast bowler Jaffa, but it was coming down the slope. The only thing it could have done is come in. Maybe you saw it differently or whatever, you didn't pick it. But right through this entire test series, first test, he got 2 prime situations to bat. 350 ahead, 400 ahead, and you are coming out to bat. Then you are batting at 3. This is, if Washington can use his county experience and get the job done, Karun has to be able to do that. And if he doesn't get any more games, he cannot blame anyone for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll talk about the selections going into that 4th test in just a bit, but I just want to conclude about this particular test. So your biggest takeaway or couple of takeaways from this test from either lens, England or India, and especially with 2 more tests remaining, how do you kind of perceive things from now?
See, there are way too many positives for India. The result has not worked. See, something that I am not okay with is a discourse that is building up that this series is like 2018. To me, it's not close. It's not even close. This series is far better. We have fought a lot better in this series as compared to 2018. I mean, for this series to be like the 2018 series, India will have to be demolished in the next 2 tests. Because in that series, India were nowhere in the game in two tests through and through. In this entire series, like I said, we have not even considered a first innings lead so far. So, to me, far too many positives. I mean, if a little rub of the green goes our way, and if not anyone else, Siraj really deserves that rub of the green. I mean, he has been a warrior. So थोड़ा लक इंडिया के फेवर में जाता है. I wouldn't rule out India winning 2 tests from here. At worst, India can still take a test out, and that is going to be crucial because, see, again, from a bigger perspective, I would rather have India win the WTC, and to get there, India do not need to drop away tests, because then come back to bite you, because you have no margin for error in the home test then.
Yeah, because that's still a while away, but it's so important to at least accumulate those points. India, of course, have got 1 win in the series, but there's still 2 to play. Nick, what's your big learning? Because I have a few, but I want you to finish first.
Look, my big learning is almost how everybody has found a way to contribute. And that is something that's a very good, very, very big positive. And again, we have to be very rational to the fact that this is a young team. You can tell me these names are known to you, but some of them are on their first tours to England. And there have been greater teams that have gone on to England and have not competed on every single day. And to be honest, I'll go on to say India have dominated this test match series far more than England have. It is just that India's mistakes have been far too costly. It's just that whenever India have given England a chance, they've pounced really hard. So I think it is good in a way that India have had a series where you have NKR now performing with the bat and with the ball enough number of times. You would have Sundar taking wickets. Jadeja has batted like a dream at 6. You cannot ask for anything more. So you had your tail also contributing. Akazib had an off game, but that's okay. So I think overall there is plenty more to gain. As Som said, at this point of time, most of your batters are in form. Most of your bowlers are taking wickets. All 3 pacers have a fifer. When was the last time you had a series like this where so many of things are going? It is just these small things, the catches, the runouts. The only comparable to 2018 is the moments. Baske, it's the moment that you're not winning. Hopefully, the rub of the win also will go your way, and at least one of the next two tests can surely be taken.
I feel, look, I'll start from the top of the order. I think Jaiswal has not had his head in the series. I say that because we've heard from the coaches, the inner sanctum of that Indian dressing room, that he's a guy who's obsessed with his batting. And fair enough, he's an opener, he's a young, exuberant lad, and that's all he should care about. But maybe those drop catches or maybe a couple of howlers in the field is playing some little demons in his mind, because even the first innings he got out to Archer, and Som said it in the WhatsApp at the time, saying it's all right, he's got out to Archer because he'll come better prepared, and hopefully that stands him in good test in Old Trafford and Oval. KL, I feel he's one of those students in the classroom who does everything right. And at the time when you have to say the crucial answer, he gets it wrong and the teacher pushes him out of the class. And that's where he just gets blamed, right? So I feel KL and Jaiswal have been superb as openers. I won't take anything away from them, apart from that one shot that Jaiswal played. The rest of the batting, I mean, essentially Gill, law of averages. We could have all predicted that nip backer, whether it was Cars or Archer, Stokes to get him out. And it was always on the cards. The writings were on the wall. It was evident over there. We'll come to this on-field spats, which we haven't even spoke about. That's the MNL question of the night in like 10 minutes. And I love to pick Som and Nikhil's mind and what we've seen historically compared to this test as well. And my final takeaway is Jofra Archer's back, guys. I mean, fair enough. I feel like we saw him just be a floaty kind of chill West Indian guy in the first innings. Second innings, the way he sent Pant off, or the way he just got rattled up even when he got the second and third wicket, it feels like, you know, he's ready. He's ready to like blow even more fury on India later in the series. And for England fans, it'll be cock a hoop because the Ashes are later down this year. So I think from this Lord's Test, when we look back, I think there's 3-4 things we'll definitely talk about. Pros and cons then for India, because going into that Old Trafford test, what are the changes you're going to make, gentlemen? Because Nick's just mentioned it. NKR has looked solid all of a sudden. Sundar's delivering. Everyone's delivering. But Kuldeep, Arshdeep, the guys that we wanted in the team, now do they come back in? So it's crazy. Nick, I'll start with you here first, and then Somesh can back you up.
I think I'm making one change, which might be forced because of Rishabh Pant, to be very honest, because we don't know if Rishabh is...
I forgot about that.
I mean, that is the only change that looks straightforward, because if Rishabh is not fit enough to... Because I can't buy the idea that he's just had an injury, because every time he put bat to ball today, he took his left hand off and he grimaced in pain. So it wasn't that it doesn't look like a small injury. So I just hope maybe the next there is enough time. Maybe he can get, maybe he'll play with injections. But if he has to play as a batter, then Dhruv Jurel has to come in. And that is going to put this team combination up in the air, because I cannot fathom how are you going to fit this combination, because there is only one spot open. But it makes no sense to drop a number 3 and they'll tell a guy, okay, you are going to keep, so you bat at 3. Oh, but we are doing this so that the number 5 can bat and not keep. It is not going to make sense. And I don't think you can drop the all-rounder. So, and I don't see Bumrah dropping out from the next test. There is enough rest. So, up in the air, figure out what you want to do.
Chandan Ramya quickly saying, given the number of rest days, Pant should play. I mean, fingers crossed he is going to be a race in fitness for that. So how do you see it? Because Nick said the obvious force change could be Jurel for Pant, straight swap. But then if you get Sai back into the equation for Karun, then you're pretty much playing, 4 tests, 2 different number 3s.
Yeah, so
in 2 of those tests.
The answer to this question is of 2 parts. One is assuming Pant is fit. If Pant is fit, I'm making one change. I'm bringing in Sai in place of Karun. I said after in the Hindi show after the last game that 2 innings, not even a single 50 is okay, but 6 innings without even a 50 would be bad, and that's the case. You said that he has looked okay. To me, he has not. He has looked very much like the player he has been after the 300, a player who does not have a big innings in him, because I've not seen shots. The only way he has scored is on half volleys, which he has been able to time down the ground. And either they've gone for 4s or he's done doubles. I've not seen a pull. I've not seen a cut. I've not seen a length ball being driven away. I mean, happy to be proven wrong, but a lack of shots is something which is not okay. And these are not tricky conditions. This is not the 2018 conditions. These are flat wickets. Everyone around him in the top 5 has scored at least 100 on this tour, and the number 6 has scored 450s on the bounce. So, I mean, to be honest, it will be a very fair call to drop Karun. Tough on him. Very very bad place to be in. But I mean, this is international cricket, and it's not meant to build careers. It's meant to win. It's meant to perform. Second scenario is a very very tricky one. If Pant is not playing, then my prediction changes. Then I don't think India stand a chance, because then it becomes very difficult with the combinations and everything. Then, I mean, things go very haywire to really think about what needs to be. Then they will need individual brilliance to have wins. They'll need a 6 for 12 kind of a spell from Siraj in one of the innings so that, England are blown apart. But if Pant is injured, then I'll contemplate keeping with KL and then have Sudarshan open and move KL in the middle order. Because
whoa, that's too many parts you're moving, bro.
Yeah, but that still makes me feel safe.
Okay,
because
fair.
I would probably play. I'll still want to play Pant as a batter. He keeps his position. Maybe he moves a place up even to 4. Then I open with Sudarshan and Jaiswal, Gill 3, Pant 4, and KL the keeper becomes number 5. But at least I'm playing the main batters.
So then how does your slip cordon look like?
You have Gill. Good question.
Sai.
Everybody gets bold. Everybody gets bold dismissals. Everybody gets bold dismissals.
It's not an ideal scenario, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Pant not playing for India in tests is never going to be an ideal scenario. Especially
before I come back to Nikhil, so what about the 2 deeps, Arshdeep and Kuldeep? I know India have lost. So is there any entrance on the evidence that we've seen in Old Trafford, maybe a little bit more green tinge on that pitch? No, nothing?
I'm playing the same bowling attack unless there is a injury.
Okay. Next, are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, unless there is an injury, I don't see Akashdeep also going out. It has been very flat. Most of the last 4 results have been drawn. So very good batting surface. If they did not play Kuldeep before, I have zero hopes of Kuldeep getting into the team. And it is even more so to do with the kind of usage that they have. Okay, if they are going to only use him with the very soft ball and bowl paces till then, so I don't know how that will work out. So pretty much the same. But yeah, I think the Rishabh Pant injury is going to be massive. And as Som said, eventually you will have to figure out so many of these parts because you played with Sai and you dropped Sai. I think that it wasn't a good move because after first test, you are telling me that we banked on this guy to play well at 3, but now we don't want him, we want to not. I mean, we don't know how they're looking at it, but it doesn't give us the good signal. But again, we are too far away to judge.
Yeah, too many decisions have worked in India's favor, but that one is sort of embarrassing. You cannot drop your number.
It is harsh also.
Harsh and embarrassing because you chose him at 3 because you felt that he's a better batter. Then you cannot go ahead and drop him in the next test. But yeah, I mean,
exactly.
There is a straightforward option available. I mean, you don't change anything, just play Jurel for Pant at 5. And of course, Sai comes in for Karan. So then everything remains intact. At least your orders and everything remains intact. That's always the straightforward option. But that means that Pant is not even playing as a batter.
Okay. 2 more questions in terms of India selections for the Manchester test. Bumrah, apparently every time we have him in our test team, we lose, which is a shit narrative to go by because I know the evidence is there to suggest that, but I think Bumrah will play and then Oval will probably be more flatter than Old Trafford. That's historical evidence speaking, not my gut feel or anything like that. And the second bit is Siraj, because one guy as well just said, guys, how long will we keep playing Siraj? We need to give him a rest. So on that merit, boys, where do you think about Bumrah and Siraj? Do you think both of them will play, should play, could play, all of that? Nix, you first and then Som.
See, that is the exact reason why I keep ranting on the usage of spin. That this is why it is important to use spin to get you control or just play somebody else. Figure out a way because there is no way you can make Siraj, Bumrah bowl 15-20 overs every single test and day and then you say okay, they should keep playing. Akazip already held his back or we're not sure what. There was an injury scare with him. So what is it due to? That is something that you'll have to figure. So how do you give Siraj a rest? If you're going to use people like this, somebody else is going to come in and they'll break down after a game. So there is enough. The good thing is, as Som said, the only logic to all of that is there is enough rest, there is enough gap. Nobody has to go to the nets. They've bowled enough and they've bowled well. So give them a good amount of jo bhi hai, ice bath, jo karana karao. Keep them fresh and then play them. See, if you drop Bumrah from the next one, I said the same thing after the first test. See, they went on to win. That is not in my hand. But I think you have to play Bumrah at Oval, in Manchester. Sorry, you can't leave him just for the back end. You'll have to will because Gill said in the presser in the post match that you will get to know if Bumrah is going to play. Is it already decided? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, India love keeping their cards close to their chest. So picture this: India play Bumrah at Manchester. Okay, he again goes on to do Bumrah things. Series is 2-2. You think Gambhir will have the nerve or anyone to drop Bumrah at the Oval? Because we haven't won in England since 2007. That's a glorious chance. Or do you see it differently?
That is the point. That is why he should be playing in Manchester to have that option open in the first place. See, of course, I mean, logically, maybe keep him for Oval, again, historic venue. He can be in London, travel bhi nahi karna padega. But, I mean, see, second test of the series is something else. Now there is, I mean, you can't look back. One more test and the series is over. So the equation is changed. And hence, I feel, I mean, I would be surprised if Bumrah is not playing the next one because you don't have a ready-made solution. I mean, Prasidh Krishna, I mean, on what basis would you bring him back? He's not given you anything to merit a place in the side. And if you bring Arshdeep, he'd be playing his first test for the country. What do you expect him to then deliver?
Okay, but then there's another scenario which could prevail, right? So both of you all think Bumrah should play Manchester. Even I'm kind of hinging towards that. But then what about Siraj? Because if Siraj plays Manchester, then we're expecting Bumrah to rest of the Oval. So then Siraj has to play the 5th test, essentially. You can't rest Bumrah and Siraj at Oval, right? So
then if you win the next one, then you can rest Bumrah in Oval and play one more spinner. You can play Kuldeep.
Oh, that's too much, man. It's too much.
I think this was pre-decided that Siraj is going to play all 5. Can't help it. You need at least. I mean, if Stokes can play 5, Siraj can play 5.
I agree. I mean, Stokes is obviously It's a good comparison as well. Vikas saying, I think BCCI can just find a direct flight to Bengaluru and send both Karan and Prasid back. I had to throw in there that man, of course, neighboring Karnataka, and hence he's throwing stuff across the state. But look, all in good jest, I'm guessing. Let's move on to England's pros and cons, because I think two are evident. One is Bashir. I think he's probably going to miss out because he's got a massive webbing on his left hand. I think he's broken a finger, and fair play for him taking that last wicket, even though he won't play that Manchester test. So what do we feel about England going into that test? Because, Tom, you mentioned it. Stokes bowling that long-ass spell today. Lots of their minds have been tired. In fact, throughout the series, England have been out in the field so much longer than India that there will be tired minds. Maybe Bryden Castle, Siraj. They could have an all-new attack with Atkinson come back in. Archer, Wood is fit for the 5th test. So what are the chops and changes that the England team will make? So you first, and then I'll throw it to Nick.
See, this is where India will also have to be smart. The number of overs that Stokes has bowled in this game, he cannot bowl as many overs in the next test because he knows that there is no gap. Abhi, he knows that there is a long gap. Even if I bowl 20 overs in a day, I can get away with it. He won't be risking that. So India need to be smart there, that you will have your opportunities to milk other bowlers. I potentially don't see England making any other change apart from the forced, which is Shoaib Bashir, and which is sad because he was on his way of to becoming the leading wicket taker for England in this series, as I predicted, out of nowhere. But that's the one change. I mean, of course, I would have. I would have dropped Zach Crawley like 4 tests ago, but that's not going to happen.
Bro, Zach Crawley apparently has the highest false percentage for all test batters since 2020. Thanks to our statsman for that. But on Bashir, so if Bashir sits out, is Bethel an option, or do you go into the wilderness and get someone like Liam Dawson, whoever's there?
यार ये तो वही जाने अभी उतना बोलना मुश्किल है. Tempted, they will be tempted with Bethel because Root is a more than handy off spinner already, so it gives them options. So yeah, I mean, I won't be surprised, and it strengthens their batting. So England will become stronger with Bethel in it, I guess.
Nix, do you agree with him? Because if you look at him in the prospect of the whole talk of Pope, Bethel, before the series started, Van Pope has kind of got an elongated rope with that first innings of the series. If Bethel comes in for Pope and a pacer comes in, say Atkinson or Sam Cook comes in for Bashir, that adds a little bit more balance, don't you think? Especially up there in Manchester for England.
But I don't think Pope is getting dropped. I think he'll play. They could just get Bethel in for Bashir. India will give him a 50 very happily because that is our tradition. I think Sam Cook is also someone who could come in, but it depends entirely on how fit and fine Cars feels. Because I said it at the start of the series as well. Cars is someone who is, to me, looking up to be the guy who can be a difference maker, because we saw that in the last spell yesterday as well. He's someone who bowls full and can vary the pace. We saw that when he bowled against New Zealand also. He's very good at hitting that just full length and making people look like we don't even know where the ball is coming from. So I think the break might help. Chris Woakes also took wickets, and I think that is a very big boost for them because that he's a vital player for them. But if Bethel comes in, maybe that is where they can take that call that we could play Bethel at 8, get Chris Woakes out, which means we are not compromising on batting. We have maybe a better batter there. And then you have spin option as well, and you can just get Sam Cook in or Atkinson if he's fit. So it will just make their bowling better, which is good. I think India have slowly started to face better bowling attacks, but they've still done well. So I just hope India continues to look at it from a positive way, that it's okay, whatever England is doing. The only thing that I want to throw with India is don't be hesitant to play Kuldeep if you want to rest Bumrah. Because if you're playing, he is a difference maker. There is 100%. There is no doubt about it. But look at the weather. If you feel it's going to be dry, Manchester has turned. Aisa nahi hai ki it's not turned. So if there is any room, Kuldeep could be a very big game changer. But then it's a long way away.
It is a long way away. I mean, even though this game has gone 5 days like the last test, and the series has kind of exhausted the fans, forget to know the players. So let's see what happens in 10 days' time, indeed. Right, there's so much more to talk about with the chaps on this Monday Night Live show. I mean, if you guys are just joining us, tuck in and smash a like. Whatever you guys are watching from, tell us what you thought about the Lord's Test. I just want to ask Som right now about all the on-field stats, because that's what sometimes Test cricket is all about, right? Because ultimately we saw not one, not two, but three episodes this time around. First Gill and Crawley. Then I think today it was Cas and Jadeja getting into a tangle. And then we, of course, saw Siraj getting fined for his little brush with Duckett. What have you enjoyed? And do you think Test cricket needs this a little bit?
See, I think first is Siraj versus everyone else. It's Siraj versus the world that comes first, and then comes whatever comes later. And of course, umpires can make cringy decisions. They are absolutely unable to control the pace of play. Players are taking drinks break for random, changing gloves every 15 minutes. Uh, People are abusing running from the slip cordon to abuse, and then you find only the bowler who celebrates the wickets. I mean, I just don't understand the logic or the consistency behind it. But having said that, it's good cinema. It's good to watch, and at least in a long series like this, it builds narrative, which is not always a good word, but at least it gives you something to look forward to. So yeah, I mean, I am okay with it as long as people don't go out of character. I mean, they should not feel forced. This is where Bumrah is so good. I mean, he celebrates every wicket like as if he's gotten a tail ender out, no matter if it's the best batter in the world or an actual tail ender. So because he knows what works for him, and he gets fired up too. He was fired up when he got head in Australia. So 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 yeah, I mean, as a spectator, I love it, but yeah, I mean, it should not come uh, in the way of your plans or your headspace.
Nikhil, what did you make of it, especially in that last couple of minutes on day 3, it was actually, where Crawley was just obviously faking an injury. Gill comes up to him saying, grow some fucking balls, even though he reminded me of Virat Kohli on a helium balloon. I think that's the best way to put it across, where grow some fucking balls, man. Fair enough. Fair play to the Indian captain, whether it's his strategy or not. He wants to walk the talk. Maybe he didn't do so with the bat in the second innings, but did you like that approach? Do you like that aggressive, in-your-face sort of character from this team India, or do you see it differently?
I don't mind a needle, but I just sometimes feel I find it better if it is giving back more than getting it rather than starting it. But that's how we are conditioned. Okay, we have always gotten first and replied, so that is where it comes naturally. And remember, at the start of the series, I told you there will be one jellybean-like incident or one incident that will blow up. I think it is yet to happen, and this was just a precursor because there were a lot of choice words that Harry Brook had to say to NKR also today. There was a lot of banter between Ben Duckett and Gill also, that 600 runs and the lad is done for the series, which is good. I don't think it is crossing the line. So I think till the time it is harmless, it is and harmless in terms of the players know the line more than us. So as long as that is maintained, I'm perfectly fine. What I don't like, and I'll be very open about it, is Siraj did not go and brush the shoulder with Ben Duckett. Siraj was walking in a straight line. It was Ben Duckett who came this way and the shoulder was barged. So I just hope this school teacher behavior is there with everybody involved. If you want to find people for being expressive, then be accountable and charging everybody else around as well. So yeah, that is the only thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just add though. I will not lie. There was that 1 second when Gill was shouted. I was just hoping that the camera pans out to somebody who's in London and he's like, this is something I want to be there. I have felt it for 2-3 seconds. कि यहाँ से अगर कोहली दिख जाता ना, perfect होता. But ठीक, that is we moving on.
So, be honest with me, where does this stand in the pantheon of great on-field spats, India, England? We've seen Zaheer Khan and Kevin Peterson. We probably would have seen even Kohli, Anderson, Kohli, Bairstow, but now this new generation. Do you put it up there? Do you think the past on-field spats have always tickled your pickle more?
Very poor choice of words, but yeah. So, but
which one do you like the most?
moving on, I feel this is a build-up. I feel there is more to come to this. This is a sense I get because India got to enjoy their moment only for those half hour. India did not continue sledging the next day. But as far as I can tell, England carried the grudge throughout India's second innings. And even if the 11 players on the field forget it, I don't think Gambhir will let them forget. So that's not
Oh, that's true. I slightly disagree. I think India carried it on right next day because Siraj got ducked and then was up for it.
You have to
NKR celebrating Crawley's.
Siraj has been sledging like forever.
Okay, but NKR, right? NKR is
camp as well after during those 3-0 series. We probably have forgotten by now.
Yeah, Nick, so you were saying something?
I'm saying that is by default setting for Siraj. He would celebrate anybody, and that's fair. Again, as Som said, what is the most important part of this entire conversation is you have to know if it makes you comfortable. And if you're fine doing it, if it comes naturally to you. If you find it difficult that, okay, when if I get this and it is breaking my concentration or not helping me, then maybe you should stay away. And that is why it should always be left to the players. Okay, you figure out what you want to do, but I completely agree with Som. This has all the makings of building up into something very, very absolute cinema in the fourth test itself.
Indeed. I mean, that fourth test is going to be a rip roarer for sure. But look, the one good thing that I actually saw, even though it was a humdinger of a test, was actually both the players from the different teams were hugging each other, congratulating each other. And that's why test match cricket is hard but fair. In fact, Stokes and Jadeja were hugging and embracing each other, which just goes to show how much was on the line, the pressure it takes, so on and so forth. Remember, if you thought Headingley and, of course, the second test was stats filled, even this one had a lot of stats. Go check it out on cricket.com. Our written boys have come up with some amazing stats that you guys wouldn't have ever fathomed. Let me just tell you that the man of the match has gone to Ben Stokes. Now he has the most player of the match awards, Lords and Tests, 4 to him, overtaking Joe Root. And I think McGrath had 3 there as well. And in terms of player of the match awards for England in tests, he's 2 behind. Joe Root has 13. So Stokes has 11 right now, overtaking Kevin Peterson after his feat at Lords. Right, before we end India-England chat, prediction then time for you guys. The last 2 tests, Manchester and Oval. It's 2-1 right now to England. What are the final scorelines you guys are thinking of?
I'll stay with 3-2. It will be 3-2. Either ways, but 3-2.
Ooh. Either ways. Tom?
I'd say make it 2-2 in Manchester and we'll take it from there.
2-2 in Manchester, will take it from there. Remember, the only draw in Ben Stokes' captaincy career has come in Manchester thanks to the rain. So if that is going to be another draw over there, who knows? But I think it's going to be 2-2 with the Oval going down to the wire and then maybe a draw. I mean, that's how I see it, but I will absolutely take it.
I have a question for both of you. I wanted to ask this yesterday in our chat, but I didn't because I did not want to jinx it. If you had to choose one player who could have played for India today when the day began, one batter, who would he be?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know. I'll let you guys choose.
That's a good question. I think I would say Dravid. I'd say either Dravid or Lakshman, bro.
Oh, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, it doesn't have to be Indian.
Yeah, just saying, it doesn't have to be Indian. In general, considering the situation, team 50 for 4, chasing 195.
Ricky Ponting and Brian Lara. For me. I mean, I know there's a susceptibility of Lara getting out, but I just think because he's done it so many times with batting with the tail and stuff, I would say Lara. Maybe that's a bias. Nix, are you going my direction or are you going somewhere completely different?
Yeah, for Indian, I was going to say VVS. I was very clear there. But if it doesn't have to be Indian, then I will go with AB de Villiers.
De Villiers. So, where were you going towards?
I mean, the 2 names that were in my mind, and one was very strong, was Steve Smith. But as the day progressed today, I was just wishing that we had someone like a Pat Cummins in our team to play. I mean, if Pat Cummins would have been playing with Jadeja with 2 wickets remaining, I think we would have won this.
That's crazy. Cricinfo just saying the same thing, saying for me would be Pat Cummins. In fact, I think I brought that reference up in the WhatsApp chat saying if Cummins did it in Edgbaston, taking them over the line by 2 wickets, why can't we do it? And then I think quoted the Lee Casperich partnership, even though they went down by it. But look, all good memories indeed. There's so much to talk about, even in the best of the rest with Somesh and Nikhil. So stay tuned because there's a big debate we're having in 2 minutes, which is about day-night test cricket. And our gentleman over here, Somesh, has brought it up in the WhatsApp. So I just thought about using it, whether it's still redundant or relevant in the modern times. So best of the rest, let's crack on. Right, for the viewers who don't know, this is the part of the podcast we talk about all the other newsy things or non-newsy things in the world of cricket, and talking about everything. I'm talking about the MLC that we just saw last night and another win for the MI franchise. I'm talking about Italy earlier this week, making history and going to be part of the 2026 T20 World Cup. And not to forget, a tri-series is happening right now as we speak between Zimbabwe, South Africa, and New Zealand. Should that be brought back? But our focus will, of course, start with West Indies, Australia, and the third test, not talking about the series, but the relevance of pink ball test. And Som, I'll start with you because you brought up a very valuable question in that WhatsApp chat. 10 years it's been since the pioneering of day-night tests. Has it added any value to our game?
Zero. If it
Just to be sure, there's no digit.
If it were up to me, there would not be any more ping ball tests ever. I was hearing a few Australian journalists the other day. Even the Adelaide decision makers are very reluctant to carry on with the ping ball test because they're just fed up of tests not lasting five days, which is very fair. And even now, players like Steve Smith are not okay with the visibility of the ping ball, and he has been playing that for a decade. Until now, he's not comfortable with it. I don't think his ping ball test has brought in new crowds, nor it has worked towards the popularity of the game. The only benefit of ping ball test has been to Mitchell Starc and his test stats. That's it. Apart from that, I've not seen any positive impact of ping ball test for anyone.
Yeah, maybe Labuschagne will have a say as well. Apparently, he's the only player to get 400s in pink ball cricket. But like you mentioned, Australia over there, because they've been a huge part. Nix, you can agree with me on this. If you cast your mind back to all the tests which have had pink ball cricket, 24 in all, Australia, I think, have played 14 of them. They've lost just one of them thanks to West Indies, and that Shamar Joseph won. I think, was that a pink ball test? I think it was, right? Or they lost to West Indies. I don't know if it was a pink. It was. So essentially, is it just coming heavily from Cricket Australia, and the other boards are buying to it whenever they want? India played 3, I think. England have played not that many, 2. So how do ICC take this forward, or do they completely bin it? Because they either go one direction, listen, it's mandatory for every home test playing nation to have one pink ball test, or they said, listen, this is an experiment which we tried for a decade, it's failed, let's move on.
Yeah, I think I agree with Som in that aspect, that it's not been consistent, that you don't know what you are adding with it. What was the actual purpose of pink ball test and what are you trying to achieve? Because as Som pointed out, even India, if I'm not wrong, BCCI, somebody from the officials commented as well, the venues are also, the associations are also worried that the games are not lasting enough. The ones that India also played did not last long enough for it to be profitable. And as much as we hate it, that is where the game has to be going, that you have to be able to last. Now, does it make you have a different ball? Does it make you have a better pitch? I think Test cricket in any which way has so many uncontrollables. If you add a new ball to it, the visibility factor, even the stadium in West Indies right now, there are deep pockets which were a point of concern that, will the pink ball be visible enough in those pockets? So I think it is something they'll have to quickly take a call on, because if it is very random, 1 or 2 every year, it is not going to pick up. It has to be built in as a culture, and then it will be widely accepted. So I think they'll have to either push it a bit more, and it cannot just be one. They'll have to play. Every team might have to play 5-6 of them, home and away, and then only it will catch up to people, because it has its own advantages, but it is also bringing new issues to cricket, and we can't find a red ball equivalent of a new ball. Forget about getting a pink ball equivalent, which is doing as much. So there you go.
Yeah, because look, the pink ball has more lacquer. I think many people have criticized where reverse swing goes out of the game completely with the pink ball as well. Yeah. And even if you look at India's record in pink ball tests, it's not really giving you convictions, even as fans or people sitting in that board in the BCCI and be like, yeah, pink ball khel na hai, because you think straight away 36 all out. That was pink ball, wasn't it? Where India got rolled over. The other memory that I have is probably Virat Kohli's 100 against Bangladesh, the first ever pink ball test in India. But it's few and far to choose from. Even the other games have not been one going down to the wire. I know many people say Australia and New Zealand, the first ever pink ball test was a low-scoring thriller, Australia winning that by 3 wickets. But I generally think it should be binned. I generally think there are other ways to impact test cricket, and the people in the ICC should have a good hard look at this in terms of, okay, fine, where could we curb better things, smaller things, like this test has kind of unraveled in terms of balls, in terms of time being taken, whether the players are being too little princessy and precious over there, but that's how it is. Just on this news point though, and just finishing it off, West Indies Australia, the test series is going on, hence we're talking about this. On that, Nikhil, is Australia going to march to yet another WTC final? Because if they're winning 3 away tests straight away in their starting of their cycle, then it just omens well for them. And do you give West Indies any chance of doing well in test cricket going forward? Because, man, it's gut-wrenching watching this test happening in the Caribbean right now.
Before we hear from Nikhil, guys, I'll have to drop off for something.
Sure.
I would let you guys carry on. This was great interaction, and hopefully, fingers crossed for a good India comeback.
Okay, fair enough. Somesh has had enough. He's like, best of the rest. I'm the best. I'm taking myself out. Now it's just the rest. But Som, thank you for your time on the MNL. And sorry that I said it was a debut. It wasn't. I think you've been part of at least 1 or 2 shows, but it felt like a debut for sure. But more on Som throughout the course of the week. And of course, heading up to that test in Manchester, but we'll leave it there with Somesh. Right. Nikhil, just continuing from where we left off, essentially, right? Where do you see this West Indies, Australia, for both teams right now? Is it just going to be a case of, okay, fine, let's just complete the cycle and see where we are, especially from West Indies' point of view, because they've chopped and changed. And right now it just feels like anything they do, they're not going to get it right.
It is, I mean, facing Australia in any which way is tough. So maybe that is the margin of error that I would want to give West Indies, because it's not an easy attack. It's why the WTC win was special for what it's worth. And it's a new cycle under a new captain. So I'm just taking their away tours. They're going to play New Zealand away, India away, Bangladesh away. But they're going to play Pakistan and Sri Lanka at home. It's not going to be that bad, is what I feel. And they've had a very good record against England for a long period of time. So it's just Australia who I feel are too strong, and the batting is probably just fallen apart. And you can understand also, it's very few attacks are as deep as Australia's. So maybe this is the 1-3 test that you say, we usually say first 3 tests are for God. So first series for God, you give this to the Almighty, and then you go ahead from there, because enough number of home tests, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they will not be as bad. And even Bangladesh, they have spinners who can catch Bangladesh off guard as well. So I will not put it past them to win more games than what they did in the previous cycle. Maybe it is Australia, so Australia is going to march to another victory. If I jinx them, theek hai bhai. They don't care.
They don't care. Let's just finish off the West Indies Australia thing on Mitchell Starc. He's playing his 100 test, Nikhil, and I think he's limping towards 400 test wickets. I think only Glenn McGrath's done that. Just a word on Mitch Starc in terms of him being just one of the best ever bowlers that they've ever produced, because he's gone through every injury you can imagine as a pacer. But he's been such a big game winner, WTC, IPL, this, that. What a career whenever he waves goodbye to the game. And now the 100 tests. So just a word of appreciation of Mitch Starc.
No, absolutely tremendous asset of Cricket Australia. I think most of us can go back and go to that conversation where Shane Warne had about him, that, Starc was being too soft. And ever since that, I have not seen Starc ever not being unplayable. First over wickets, impactful, and most importantly, in the last few years, you have seen a different version of Starc. We saw that in the BGT as well. Very often, the previous Starc, you could say he'll have a couple of great spells, and then there would be a lot of spells where he would not make much of an impact. But that has changed. His accuracy has gotten better. He's got even more lethal. And pink ball to proper left by hath ka khel, because he's so good with that pink ball that you can hardly play. I mean, Kevin Anderson in that first innings, I was just counting, kabhi out karega. When will be the ball where he'll get that wicket? So I think it just tells you how well he's grown as a test bowler, especially. So kudos to him. Maybe the last of this generation who are playing so many games also, because we have to be honest, I don't see too many countries playing 100 tests for a certain set of players. So well done to Mitch Starc, and hopefully lesser damage when you meet in the BGT.
100% lesser damage, yeah. Okay, let's move from Test cricket to T20 cricket a little bit, because there is a tri-series happening, and that normally kind of
Yes.
irks good things coming out of 90s kids. And me and Nikhil are well and truly 90s kids. We don't want to give our age away. But tri-series, Nick, just that mere mention of that word in cricket, whatever format it is, ODIs or T20s, we get excited. We're seeing one right now, Zimbabwe, South Africa, New Zealand. And I can confirm that South Africa beaten Zimbabwe in this first game of the tri-series for 5 wickets convincingly. We won't get into the details of it, but do you think this will just add up a little bit more vanity factor in terms of bilaterals in cricket right now, tri-series?
Oh, 100%. And this is just for Devil Bros. A good 17.41 for Devil Bros, and just made me smile because I love the guy with the chips, and great that he's doing good stuff in yellow. But it just, again, it's something I've been speaking 100% of times, that been two team bilateral series, it's not helping anybody. Get the third team in, put a lot more fun. And even now that there is this change of rule where there is a new ball, there is no 2 new balls. So after 34th over, you are going to bowl with the same one. It is going to bring different challenges. We go back to MS Dhoni bringing back Zair Khan immediately after the 34th over, because Purana ball, knuckle ball reversing, it will come back into the game. So I think tri-series are always going to be fun, no matter which format, whether T20 or bilateral, because it just, maybe it is nostalgia for us that we've grown up watching a lot of tri-series, but I think it will definitely add more value than just having 5 matches where same 2 teams are playing each other and nobody's caring about it.
Yeah, whether it's Bangladesh, Afghanistan, or whether it's Pakistan, West Indies, I think there should be some point in time in the FTP of cricket. I know there's a lot of cricket and players are needed, and we'll come to another talking point in just a bit, but maybe that's because the death I could surmise in terms of tri-series and not existing. Right now, Zimbabwe are having an extended long summer. I think they still take on New Zealand after this tri-series, so it's good on them. But let's see how this unravels. But I think tri-series definitely has some appeal still in the game, even though it will appeal to modern fans. It's appealed to us, me and Nikhil in the past, so why shouldn't it appeal to more players and fans right now? Time to move on, because we want to talk about another topic in cricket which has caught our eye this week. The Global Super League is on. Now, you guys must be wondering, what the hell are you talking about? Is there another cricket league? Now, this league, it's happening second time. It happened last year, it's happening this year. Now, it's almost like a mini Champions League T20. Nikhil, you can agree or disagree with me on this. I'll just tell the uninitiated watching right now what kind of teams are participating. So you have people like the Central Starcs from New Zealand. You have Hobart Hurricanes. You have the Rangpur Riders who've defended it, who are the BPL champions, of course. And then there's Guyana Amazon Warriors, who still has a 46-year-old Imran Tahir playing for them, who did remarkably well for them. But again, it just makes you think, if we can get the best of IPL teams, SA20 teams, the 100 or the blast teams, why can't these kind of competitions happen? I mean, a short window, 10, 12 days, play a round robin and F off. Can it happen?
Can happen, but if you ask me, if Chennai qualify, Mumbai qualify, and Emirates also qualify, which team will Devil Blues play for? I have no idea. And that is, I think, one of the prime concerns with this format. That, see, it is, you can look both ways, that, but it is something that's existing now as a problem, right? If you have a Dubai Capitals as a franchise, you have Sadegula Atal playing right now for GS.
Yeah.
If Delhi Capitals also qualify and Dubai Capitals also qualify, which team does Sadegula Atal have to choose? And then you get into nitty-gritties, oh, he's paying me more, he's paying me less. So I think it is understandable why the certain set of franchises, certain set of teams that are playing this league. So I think we'll have to either bin certain leagues, or we'll have to be very sure of the rules that who can play for them. Because even when the Champions League was there we all could foresee a time that, oh, Pollard could play for TNT and also for MI. How will this work out then? Bravo will play for CSK or will play for TNT. So I think that is the biggest concern, when there is same franchises owning multiple teams. And if they are overlapping players, and then if they qualify from their home team as well, it is going to add needless drama, narrative, and money splashing here and there. So I don't think it is straightforward. But GSL is happening. I'm glad. But Dubai Capitals are losing wickets to spin there also. Imran Tahir took another match in the match that happened very recently. So 4 for 12 in 3.4 overs. So
that's madness. All the games are happening in Guyana, by the way. My only addition to that is, obviously, I think it's not like football. We can't compare it to football because there's so many more players in football than cricket, like Nichols has pointed out. But the one thing that can be applied from football to cricket is how you have parent clubs. And if a player goes from a club say he's playing and then he goes on loan, then obviously there's an obligation to play for that parent club. So I think that could be a caveat or a clause in players' contracts going forward if there is a mini Champions League T20 entertained down the line. And it'll definitely come down to, say, the top two of the IPL, the finalists of the IPL, the finalists of the SA20, which again makes it a bigger competition. But people want to see that because there's so much of franchise cricket happening right now. So that could be a thing. Who knows? Right. Time to just conclude MNL, but not yet. Don't worry, because we still have Akshay's quiz without Akshay, and he's got us to do this by ourselves. Even though I disappear from the space, I have to like host Howzzaaat. But before we get to Howzzaaat and the 12th man, because there've been some banging questions from all you guys listening to the podcast live right now, which me and Nikhil will address. What to watch this week? We'll take a look at it right now, because the West Indies Australia third test continues on Tuesday as well as Wednesday. Speaking of Wednesday, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the 30-20 international. Remember, Sri Lanka winning the ODI, winning the test. Now can they do it with the T20? The series is locked level in that one. And then, of course, Zimbabwe versus New Zealand is something that you can watch in terms of that tri-series as well. So there's lots to love. Bangladesh-Pakistan starts on Sunday. I think Salman Agha is captain for them. There's new faces for Pakistan. And those are, I think, games 3 T20 internationals in Mirpur from the 20th of July to the 24th. Right, lots to love on cricket.com too. So go check all of our written context out before we get to our quiz without our quiz master. Right, so Akshay Kumar Swamy isn't there, and me and Nikhil will have to sail through Howzzaaat. Now, he always, as usual, puts up good questions. I'll show you what we have this week, but we'll first show you what was last week, right? Now, this is what he had put out. Identify X, Y, and Z, and what this list is all about. Now, me and Nikhil don't have a clue of what it is about. I still don't understand what the answer is. I don't know who has won this particular quiz competition. If a producer can help me out, quickly ask Akshay on the train. We can get through it and maybe somehow give you information on that. But it is, of course, a question to think about even more so with last week's Howzzaaat, just confirming. And now this week's Howzzaaat, I think is an obvious one because I got it straight away. I think you guys can get it, but it's about filling in the blank, i.e. the player, the match, the venue, and the year. So Kumble is on that list, Ashwin's on that list, Jadeja's on that list, Sundar's done it twice. What are we talking about here? Or what is Akshay referring to here in his Howzzaaat quiz this week? You guys can let me know in the comments after the show is done, not in the live comments right now. This is the Howzzaaat this week. Whoever wins it has some fantastic prizes up for grabs. I mean, we will tell you who won last week if I can quickly check out our particular WhatsApp group. We do have the answers. Now, Akshay has messaged, I think, us. Now, this is his last week question. Identify X, Y, and Z. Now, X, I can tell you, is Sunil Gavaskar. Y is Sachin Tendulkar. And Z is Virat Kohli. None of them have 100 here. Sachin and Virat don't have a 50. These are scores at Lords that he was talking about of Gavaskar X, Tendulkar Y, and Kohli Z. So all of the numbers that you see under Z were Kohli's scores at Lords, and so on and so forth with Gavaskar and Tendulkar. It's a good question because we had Lords, of course, wrap up today. So that was the Howzzaaat from last week. Was there a winner? I don't think there has been because he would have confirmed. So this week, let me know if anyone can get this one. I think I might know the answer, but I don't want to help you all. But good luck, whoever's participating. Remember, participate wisely and comment after the show is done to get some goodies coming your way. There's already a comment. Sachin has 100 in an unofficial match at Lords. Yeah, but he's not counting that. He's not counting that at all. Right, time to move on to the 12th man segment. That's where me and Nikhil will take some questions of y'all because it's been a 1 hour, 20-minute MNL. It could be a 1 hour, 30-minute MNL with your questions coming in thick and fast, and we can start right now. Right, I see a couple with my name on it. So, Nix, I'll just go first. Random questions. Cricket Info saying, why is the Indian Test cricket jersey hanging behind you? Did you get fed up and removed it when you saw India lost and thought you'd wear if India won tonight? I actually thought, even though I've done MNL for the longest time with a smaller frame, I thought we might be doing it slightly differently today. So I put out some little bit of test theme. I also have a book here which shows the greatest umpire in the game, Dickie Bird. What a read it is. So that is how it is. Avnish, request you to watch the video on YouTube where Shane Warne, Graham Smith, and Michael Holding discuss the future test. I've seen it. Absolutely brilliant and how it was. Apex saying, Sinner winning Wimbledon, thoughts, first Italian to win, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, first time doing that and beat Alcaraz after going a set down. Brilliant. In fact, a great week for Italy generally, because we forgot to mention it in the best of the rest, Knicks, but Italy doing something crazy in terms of the cricket world, and we will see them in the World Cup. Italy in a cricket World Cup. Has that sunk into you?
Yeah. I've played a lot of Italy games in T10s, and I can't wait to watch Grant Stewart, Harry Manenti. Joe Burns is coming back. I know one guy from CDC is going to be absolutely delighted, and that is Anirudh. But it is great. I think while yes, Italy is playing Jersey 1 against Scotland, which effectively ruled Scotland out, which is unimaginable, right? A team like Jersey even being able to put Scotland under pressure and then to be able to close the game out. I think it is very good times for cricket in general, because you want more teams to be playing. Pretty tough time for Scotland, and they've had a tough time against Nepal also. They lost a few crazy games there, maybe yes one, but you expect teams like Ireland and Scotland to be going forward. Sometimes different teams can catch you off guard. So well done to Jersey, and of course we cannot wait to see Italy. And I don't know who will give the first wicket to Harry Manenti from India. Maybe Sky.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. 20 teams, right, next year in the World Cup, T20 World Cup. Apparently 15 have qualified, and there'll be another 5 more to make their way to India, and it'll be compelling who gets through. In fact, shout out to the Italian coach who's one of a throwback player in the past, John Davison. If you guys know your 2003 World Cup history well, then you know that he scored one of the fastest World Cup hundreds at the time. So he's at the helm. There's 3 different brothers over there. Nick's mentioned one of them, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds for Italy. Remember, Thomas Draka, who was a name thrown in the IPL auction, also plays for Italy. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Right, time to move on with some solid questions in the 12th man. We'll give this one to Nikhil from Aditya Bhatt saying, have we seen any match in recent history where the quality of the cricket ball was so much in discussion? Nick, what do you make of it? What do you make of those little rings that the umpires have? And a point that even Somesh mentioned at the start of the show, that how could the ICC/ECB/the Duke's company not be prepared for different situations of the game?
My first point is, why is nobody able to even accept that there is a problem? I think my first angle was, why did India ask for a change of ball? They found it too easy to take wickets. Do you want me to say that they found it too easy to take wickets and they're like, no, let's make this harder. Let's get a ball that could be out of shape and we'll use that. I think that is the problem that I have with cricket, that sometimes we are just so accustomed to looking at certain things only with a certain direction. Why isn't ICC holding ECB accountable here? Again, I'm not going to go into whataboutery, but if the SG ball started to spin too much, we would have had articles and essays about how teams are trying to force home advantage by rigging even balls. But that is something that I don't see happening elsewhere. So I think it is a straightforward problem that the balls are getting soft too early. I think Ashwin also spoke about the SG ball at home. Virat Kohli has spoken about SG ball at home. But what are we discussing online? We are discussing if players are having brand deals and all of that. So I just hope we get to a stage where we first accept it, that there is a problem. Bumrah went on to say even this much, that he can't recall on the last tour if they had to ask for a change of ball. And we are having a change of ball discussion at least twice to thrice in the same inning. So I think whatever is the problem, I just hope they sit down with the ICC and ECB that there is a problem with Dukes. What is leading to this problem? Is it personnel? Is it quality? It cannot happen. And to the new ball point, I cannot understand if ICC wants to make it so random that any random ball can be picked up and can change the fortune of a test match. So I just find it very odd that for a game that is so big, so much money into it, we can't put effort into getting. I'm not saying you'll get a 10.1 ball with a 10.1 ball. Fair. But at least get a 10 to 15 overs or a kind of similar ball. I mean, it is the most important thing in the game of cricket. It's the thing that starts and ends the game. How are you not serious about that?
It's really mind-boggling. It's puzzling for sure. The other talking point from this cricket ball conversation is, if the players are being too pushy, Nicks, I mean, just imagine if you're Paul Rifle or Saikat out there, shouldn't you be in charge of the game? I know there's a match referee in Richie Richardson, but umpires, when we started watching the game, your Venkat Raghwans, your Ashoka De Silvas, your Steve Buckners, they might have got shit decisions on field, but they seem like principals out there with school children. Right now, it feels like a Gill or a Stokes or any opposition captain like a Cummins can coax the umpire into telling him, listen, mate, this ball's F. Give us another ball. And the umpires also are just like, okay, fine, hold on, we'll try to do something about it.
Yeah, I think that is something where the quality and the relationship is something that needs to be figured out with the ICC also, that how much power do you want to give to the umpires? Because at this point of time, if we are even discussing umpires not being able to control the full field of play, they are getting decisions wrong. We have had TV umpires making wrong decisions in the West Indies Test. Then what are the umpires in this game for? Do they have any power at all? So I think it is something that needs to be looked into in the far deeper stage. That I'm not saying what Root said is fine, that you allow 3 changes. My point is we are still reacting to effects of it. You have to go to the cause of it, figure out the cause, and then even with this behavior problem that at times, Som pointed out about, there is the image of Crawley and Gill having a go and Paul Rivals just being there standing behind. And you're like, dude, you should be the guy who's asking them to go away. But do they have the power? Are players getting too powerful? That is something that has to be there. That, see, the thing is, when you get too friendly, you will feel, oh, the respect is not there and all of that. But that is just from the outside. We will never be able to tell what's the actual relationship between the players. But 100% the umpires need to be more powerful, but they also need to be more accountable. That they cannot be picking a mistake. They cannot be doing a mistake like this and be like, okay, we'll figure out, we'll talk with them. Sorry. So, thoda QC has to happen at every stage, with the ball, with the players, and with the umpires also getting enough power to stop if they feel something is wrong.
It's something to think about for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We'll take some more questions because there have been so many, like I said. Noodlehax had this one for us earlier, Nikhil. I know the run out was a crime, guys, but too much, that alone is being criticized. Maybe because KL was there. I know it was wrong, but too much criticism on that alone. What's your thoughts on that, guys? Nix, you spoke about it. Now, in hindsight, do you think that was the game changer? Or do you think it was one of the many game changers?
Of course, it was one of the many game changers, but see, the thing is, it's again a control level. It is not something, and maybe there is some truth to the fact that because it is KL and he's had this perception where he can do 99 things right, but one thing wrong, and the blame will come back to him. But it is something he'll have to live with because he was there. He was there and he wanted to put, and he made it very evident with his face at that point of time that, oh, dang, and I missed out. They could have just spoken. I mean, of course, KL came out and clarified that, we had spoken a couple of overs back that, I planned to get it before my break. But that's the point. You don't even have to discuss that. That it doesn't have to be a discussion. It is not as important as the game for you. So I think it gets highlighted, of course, because you went on to lose the grip of the game from there. So it is fair that it is stopped, but I just hope it is something that can calm Rishabh down and calm KL down as well, that it is not as important as what the team can achieve. Nobody here is saying that either of them were selfish or wrong. It is a game. Eventually, numbers matter. That's what people are selected and dropped from. But it was a very big moment, and of course, it will then be talked about. As much as we would like to hate it, but it is what it is.
I think it's also been brought up and made like from a molehill into a mountain because KL got it right after, and many people thought that was like the place where it collapsed. Otherwise, if KL went on to score 150, 160, no one would have remembered this.
Precisely. I think the problem happened that in hindsight, we could see that 5 runs and 2 wickets out of nowhere. That is where that is what is bringing. And of course, there is the third part that it was Ben Stokes. It was Ben Stokes. It was his brilliance, which means you are going to hear about it 100 times. And which is
Ben Stokes is a very important point there because you really take certain guys on the field. I think England see it the same way with Jadeja as well. And plus, I think I was watching either Shastri and Atherton at lunchtime, and I think Shastri gave us a little anecdote of where the messaging to Rishabh Pant sometimes out there in the middle is like you have reverse psychology. Whatever you tell him, he does the complete opposite. So even if KL literally said, "Bhai, don't run, it's fine, pretend I'm not on like 99 right now," Rishabh Pant would have done just Rishabh Pant things. So I'm not throwing Rishabh Pant under the bus for that, but I'm just thinking like we're making way too much out of it for sure. Let's move on from this question and take another couple. Vedang Arikar had this one for us next. He's saying, can Sundar build up on this bowling performance now? We need a spinner for Sena. He could be the one. You agree?
Oh, 100% yes. And I will still be on my rant that they will still have to be used as a wicket-taking option and not always as a defensive option. And I hope going forward we see that spinners are not always only meant to bowl with the older ball. They can make use of the hard ball as well, and that could work in their favor as well. So I think there is I think the drift in itself is enough to give Sundar the ball whenever you feel he's someone who can make an impact, and even to rotate pacers. So 100% sure, and I think that will put good pressure on Jadeja, which is also good for the team in the long run.
Yeah, I agree with those points that Nikhil's made. Just the fact that we spoke about the drift element. We spoke about just, again, why is England pick Bashir, even though he has shit stats in the county? It's because of the profile of spinner he is. Sundar is also kind of a little tall. So on certain surfaces outside India, Sundar could be an absolute handful, even though the evidence is not there to suggest. Lords is just a start of things to come, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Chandan Ramaya saying your series prediction after this match. Me and Nikhil gave us... I gave our predictions, and so are the boys, but check that out. Nikhil saying 3-2 either way. I'm saying 2-2 is what we feel. Guys, how about Jurel's wicket keeping? Shouldn't he play as a keeper and Pant as a special batter? What did you make of Jurel, the keeper, Nikhil? I mean, lots to like, lots to maybe nitpick upon, but your assessment, your report card on Dhruv Jurel.
I think he was fine and probably better. Again, there's no doubt about him being a better keeper. And people will throw buys at me, but then I'll swing at them that please watch the game. Do not just the scorecard, that not everything was straight into Dhruv Jurel's hand and he dropped it to It wasn't the case. Bigger, better names have struggled at Lords, including MS himself when he was there for the first time. It is not an easy place to keep the ball. Wobbles very late, so you will have those troubles. So which is why those buys will look different. This is what I wanted to be happening from the first test. I picked Jurel at 6. I was asking Jurel to keep and Pant to play as a specialist batter. We are just 3 tests late.
Where I was saying, no, Karan Nair, what are you saying? Jurel goes out of the window and all of that stuff. But look, to Dhruv Jurel's credit, I mean, a couple of buys also were caused because I don't know if you guys observed it. There was one that even he took. It was not as painful as Pant's blow, but even he got one, I think, on the edge of his fingers. So I think that could have probably played in his mind as well. So that's something to think about. Implicit saying, why did KL get Akash and strike? Don't even start with this. There was one particular Mumbai veteran cricketer on X. I won't name him, but he went on to say... Nick, go on.
The fact that we have to explain basic cricket night watchman concept in itself tells you everything you must know. The job of the night watchman. I don't want a night watchman. I never advocate for the night watchman. I feel batters need to earn the time to go out there and bat again. But the role of the night watchman is to protect both the batters, the one who's going to come and the one who's batting. What is more important for you at that point of time? Getting Akash out or watching KL come? Your answer lies in your answer.
Yeah, some questions are really silly. Sorry, I know 12th man section is where we get a lot of kind of queries, and I appreciate this one from Implicit.
Yeah.
It's not on Implicit, but it just makes me think of an analogy. It's like your security guard downstairs of the building. Would you get him up to sleep in the bedroom and then put your family members outside to guard the gate? You wouldn't. Obviously, you wouldn't. You're hiring a watchman for that particular reason, for security's sake. So Akashdeep, even though he got his off stump knocked out of the ground, he tried to bide his time and try to take the bullets, and that's how it should be done. If you guys don't know cricket, that's the role of a night watchman, like what Nikhil precisely said. Apex saying, why didn't we appreciate the opposition in post-match presentation ever? Kuch to bolo Stokes feel it brilliantly, or something. Bryden Carr's spell was great, or something like that. So Apex, I think, is really been having his say in the comments in terms of like, let's praise England a little bit. We have been praising them, and I think Stokes captained really well again. And it's not very often that you say he lets the game drift. He got his bowling changes spot on. I think he himself took the ownership. He took Jofra out of the attack late last night because he was just like, look, we're not having it. If you're going to be bowling Fuller, we'll bring Carson. And it was those two Durham lads which caused the problem. So England have been special. I think even Joe Root, the way he took that catch to eclipse Rahul Dravid in this test, they've caught well. Harry Brook caught well. I think there's a lot of small things that England have done superbly to get the result on their side. Obviously, people will point out to Crawley not doing well, and of course Bashir filling up the numbers maybe, even though he took the last wicket. So there's a lot of things that England did do well, didn't do well. But Nix, what was the best thing do you think they did? Whether it was a person or whether it was a team, one thing that England did really well in the last 5 days.
I think right through the series, if you ask me, England have made India pay heavily for their mistakes. And that they have done with aplomb in every single test. They made India pay with the drop catches. Harry Brook got a 99. when he should have been out on 0, shouldn't have been a no ball. So every time India have given England a chance, and that is something that you don't usually feel with England, because they are a side that's built up on this image that we'll take the game to you. But this series, they have been made to wait. But whenever India have given them even a slightest of chance, they have just pounced on it and ensured that they don't let go of it. And that is what a good side will always do, that they will be there all the time. The moment you are, they are there. And I think that is something that would sum up Ben Stokes, Joe Root, everybody who's played in this game, that even today Ben Stokes was the guy who bowled an hour in the first spell. And then he came back and bowled another 8-9 over spell. Of course, there is things to be managed, but he was the one who was wanting, I'll lead from the front. And that is something you can never take away from Ben Stokes, that no matter how he bats, his batting numbers may not be great, but with the ball, you can always be there, that he will always find it in the thick of things. The run out, the moment that we're all discussing, he was there. He was there in the run out. So I think in every small moment that India gave them a chance, somebody has stepped up. It was Cars last night. It was Root in the first innings with Ben Stokes himself. And then again with the ball, when they wanted wickets today, I think Archer bowled really, really well. And the catch of Washington Sundar, that was Archer of Hobart Hurricanes folklore. The first time we saw Archer taking random just like this catches, that is, so England there is a reason why they are 2-1 ahead. They may not have won more days, but they have won more moments, and so they are ideally 2-1 ahead.
Yeah, and well summed up. I generally agree with that, because even if you look at the session pies and those little graphics that they put on broadcasters, 45 sessions that we've had literally in this series so far. India, I'm guessing Nikhil would have probably won 37, 38 out of them, around that number. And it's crazy that England are 2-1 up.
But that's the point, and that is how harsh this game of Test cricket is, that you could lose 8, but you could lose the game in those 8 sessions. And that is why I keep saying we need to be a bit more empathetic with the cricket team, that this young side, that they have done a lot of things right. They have done 8 of the 10 things right, or 7 of the 10 things right. But the problem is the 3 things that they have done wrong that have caused them the match, whether it's the drop catches in the first one, or drop catch, or the run out, or the collapse. So again, eventually, how ironic is the 3 things again.
Seriously, I think India, just when they look back in reflection in the hotel room tonight, like every time they've had a shit half an hour, 1 hour in either of the tests, it's really cost them. Like even from 41 for 1 to going to 82 for 7 in just a span of 20, 30 overs is crazy. Final couple of questions and we'll wrap proceedings on MNL. Ankit Mittal saying, we see Cummins, Hazelwood Starc play every home and away match. We keep chopping and changing. Fitness levels or mindset issues? I mean, that's one question that even every Indian modern cricket fan asks, saying, yaar, वो सब खेलते हैं, सब मैच खेलते हैं, सब condition में. But Nix, I mean, is it fair to compare these 3 Australian legends to, say, this Indian pace battery? There's lots more to it, right?
See, of course, there's a lot more to it, and it's the two countries that operate on a very different level in terms of culture also. Cummins, Hazelwood, Starc will not play every series. But we want everyone to play every series. And that is why I keep going on in my favorite rant. Separate pools, have separate players for separate formats. You will not have to go down that way. And Ankit, I'm sure you understand, T20s is something they all may not necessarily be needed to play. So whether they are also playing because they have to play and they don't need to, that is something we don't know. We will see when Australia transition as well, whether they have the next set of resources. Can you right now name me 4 good Australian pacers that can replace one of them? So it is a silent transition, which is why when they come there, they will also have the rules, and that is just natural cricket transition. That's how it works. So hopefully that is what India will also look at. Okay, separate players, separate pools, which means enough rest, and then everybody is fresh for what's to come next.
And India, more than anyone, can actually afford what Nikhil is talking about, because they have such a conveyor belt of cricketers, whether it's batters, bowlers. I know one thing that we've always had a rare breed in our country is fast bowling all-rounders, but that also probably will change the tide in the 5-10 years to come through. Connor House DBC saying, great week unless you're Donnarumma. I mean, can't believe PSG lost to Chelsea, but it is what it is. I mean, Donald Trump had a Sharad Pawar moment. If you guys know, you'd know. And Atreya Bhattacharya is saying, do you know Spencer Johnson could have represented Italy? Wow, didn't know that. But shout out to him if he did or he could be. And couple of last more comments before we close up. Pant should get more blame actually than he's given by. No, man. Let's be very fair to Pant and people like KL as well, because They've scored really, really good, important runs for India, even though we find themselves in the series behind. But it is what it is. Tanbir asking us, where is Akshay? He's on a train somewhere in the UK, but we'll get him back on MNL next week for sure. And that's all we have. There's so many more that I can keep going on and on and on talking with Nikhil about, but we'll leave it there, Nikhil. Thank you so much for your time. Good to see you in that jersey. I think I'll wear mine in 10 days' time. It's just like probably coming out from wash, to be fair. So props to India. Props for a great test match cricket. Your final thoughts before we end proceedings?
Well played. Just don't be too harsh on the team. It hurts them more than it hurts us. And hopefully it doesn't absorb them of their problems, but hopefully they'll learn and we'll be 2-2 in Manchester. If not, we learn.
Yeah. On those wise words, we'll end proceedings. Smash a like, share this particular podcast, because if you guys just joined us, we've spoken about the whole Lord's Test in the first 45 minutes of the show. Go check it out, contribute in the comments, and we will get interactive as soon as we can. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from all of us. More to come on cricket.com in terms of the shorts, written things, and even a bear tuck, which will be around the corner very soon for all you Hindi lovers out there. Thanks, Nikhil. Good night and goodbye to all our viewers. Have a dinner to savor if we can after this shit test. Cheers.